shouted out above the crowd. And I said, hey, pretty lady, won't you give me a sign? I'll give you anything mine on mine. I'll do your bidding and be what you beck and call. Yeah, I've never seen anyone looking so fine, man. I haven't seen one of a kind. I'm going once, going twice. I'm sold on the lady in the long black dress. But she won my heart in a silk contest with a ruby red lips, blonde hair, blue eyes. And I'm about to bid my heart goodbye. Yeah, we found love on the on-the-block in a hard way. Now we still love about the battle. When we met that day, and I said, hey, pretty lady, won't you give me a sign? I'll give anything making mine on mine. I'll do your bidding and be as you beck and call. Yeah, I've never seen anyone looking so fine, man. I haven't seen one of a kind. I'm going once, going twice. I'm sold on the lake in the second row. She's the next, she's the nine, she's the 10, I know. She got me the red lips, blonde hair, blue eyes. I'm about to bid my heart goodbye.
This is the voice you've been hearing. Hi, I'm Judy Putnam. These are some of the lessons I've learned as a broad. As I grow older, I realize how many times my mother was right, and now I'm old enough to have a daughter telling me I don't know anything. But I did learn from her. She'd say things like, Judy, you'd forget your head if it wasn't attached. So now I make lists for everything. I may forget where the lists are, but I've never forgotten my head. She'd say, shut the door. Do you think we live in a barn? And I learned how to conserve energy even when fuel was 6 cents a gallon. There was a lot I learned by myself. I got married. My ex-husband is living proof of how stupid I can be. And it's not just that I'm getting older, that happened a long time ago, it's that I look older too. There's an X-rated strip club that has a sign outside advertising amateur night at home. And I asked my husband David, I said, do you think I should enter? And he said, yes. And then he quietly added, of course, you're not going to win. So the next night, I met him at the door naked. He took one look at me, walked away, and said, honey, I think it needs ironing. I went to my daughter's brownie troop meeting to help out. I walked in with my little craft bags and my red jacket, and my daughter introduced me to the little girls sitting around in a circle, and the little girls turned around and said, oh, good, it's Mrs. Claus. Well, maybe it's time I dyed my hair and lost some weight. I've decided, however, that wrinkles are how we older women still say I'm sexy. It's just Braille now. I stay overweight because it wouldn't be fair to all the women in good shape, you see. It wouldn't be fair if I was attractive, funny, and thin. Really, it's a public service that I'm overweight. And I don't mean to brag, but tonight I'm wearing something I wore in high school.
All right.
My earrings. I don't have a great memory anymore, but I never forget to make my doctor's appointments. Every pen in our house comes from a doctor or a dentist's office. When the pen runs out of ink, I call for another appointment. And I've learned to have 5 servings of fruit a day. I have fruit salad for dinner, every night. Well, Actually, I have grapes. And they're fermented. All right, I have wine for dinner. Dr. Oz, do you know Dr. Oz? He says it's healthy to have a glass of wine with a meal, so I enjoy a glass of wine with dinner. The other 3 glasses are for my quick wit and my fabulous dance moves. If I'm ever reported missing, just put my picture on a wine box. And if I'm sick, and I haven't asked for Chardonnay, Merlot, or a bar of chocolate, please pull the plug. Do you know why I always keep get well cards on my mantle? When my guests arrive, they'll think I've been sick and unable to clean. My neighbor asked to use my vacuum cleaner, and of course I agreed. She just couldn't leave my house. I've learned some things from working. I'm a cashier part-time back home, and I helped a woman buy a man's shirt. And I asked her, cash, check, or charge, and she pulled out her wallet with a TV remote. Do you always carry a remote? I said. She said, no, but my husband won't come shopping with me, and this is the most evil thing I can legally do. Struck a note, did I? Our local priest was teaching little youngsters about Christ, and he asked a young boy if he understood about the resurrection. And the little boy replied, I know enough to call a doctor if it lasts more than 4 hours. Don't you think those commercials are on way too early in the evening? And from the weatherman, I've learned that if the temperature is less than my age, I don't get out of bed in the morning. So now I feel qualified to help out with some lessons for men. When a woman says, what did you say? It's not because she didn't hear you. She's giving you a chance to change your mind about what you said. Now men, learn these. When she says, do what you want, it means you're going to pay for this later. We need to talk means I need time to complain. You have to learn to communicate means just agree with me. And I'm not yelling means yes, I'm yelling because I want you to listen. We don't like being old in the first place, so it doesn't take much to make us mad. Well, here's my lesson from a Greek philosopher. Socrates was a man of wisdom. He lived a long time ago. He wrote speeches and tended to be long-winded. His friends poisoned him. And that's why I'm saying good night now. Thank you. There's a little business about stage moving and piano moving that makes things a little bit different. So here are some little lessons that I forgot to tell you about. You learn lessons from your children. You remember honesty and sometimes remember what it was to be naive. Rachel asked, Nana, who let the air out of your arms? Isn't she sweet? But it's strangely comforting to know that someday Lady Gaga will look just like me. Rachel asked, Nana, are you on Facebook? I said, no, I'm using Fosamax. Somehow I got the feeling that wasn't the right answer. And they know we eat early bird specials. They wanted to know, how do early birds taste? Joanne Castle was on the Lawrence Welk show in the 1960s. She was known as the queen of the honky-tonk piano. Here is Marge Leffler, portraying Joanne at her very best. Please feel free to clap your hands, stomp your feet, and dance in the side aisles. Thank you. You need to know this about men. They are very literal beings. I asked my ex-husband to buy me something extravagant and expensive. He took me to the gas station. He filled my tank. He bought me a Coke. I just have to be more specific. But the best example is the day I asked him to pick up the 7 ingredients I used for my favorite 7-Up cake on his way home. I gave him a list. I told him he could use the express line and still get to his tennis game. So I was astounded when he was more than an hour late, and more than astounded when he asked me to help empty the trunk. Empty the trunk? For 7 ingredients? Well, he had 8 bags of groceries. What had he done? He had the bottle of vanilla. He had 2 bottles of baking soda,